Everybody, how y'all doing? Welcome back to Power Hour on Geckoverse Channel. Reese and I have a new guest tonight that's never been on the show, and we're excited to host Micah from MS Farms. That being said, it's a good time to get your drinks, get your popcorn, and sign yourselves on with your friends. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Welcome in, everybody. How we doing?
What up?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right, Reese. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a week, man. What's going on?
I was just about to ask you, how was your Reese vacation? You had 1 week away.
Yeah, man. It's good. I'm actually busy doing a little Bubba and training over here. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm wearing sleeves. I'm not exactly happy about it. Micah, what's going on? How you doing?
Not much, guys. What are you up to?
Me
Wearing sleeves.
Reese, what about you, man? What are you up to?
Just, pulling eggs. Pulled 4 eggs today, but they were all boo-boo, so I had to toss them. But I've been collecting eggs every day so far this week. So it's been cool.
Bayside says that it's not long enough.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Steven's here. He says, my boy Rob Dog. Rob Dog. Is that an inside joke?
Yeah. No, the comment right above him is my boyfriend, Rob.
Oh.
And then Steven is commenting to him.
So, dudes, that's funny. What's going on, Rob? Yeah, well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us live. We got 10 right now already off the bat. That's got to be obviously attributed to Micah. Micah, I've been wanting you on a podcast since you were on one. Oh man, was it years ago now? What was it? Inside the Hide, right?
It was like her last one that she did.
Oh, you were on that too? Okay.
And I think it was the beginning of the breeding season.
Yeah. Yep.
It wasn't last year, right?
Oh man, you would do that to me.
Over last year?
Well, it was either last year or the year before, but I think it was last year. Like, I don't remember it being too long ago.
Yeah, so it could have been like late 2023, but I just remember watching the episode and everybody's listening to you, and I didn't hear a word you were saying. And the reason is that you were pairing while you were on screen, like talking. Mm-hmm. And your animals were like, visual locks in all tubs. You did like 10 pairings in front of everybody. And I remember sitting back thinking, how in the hell, did she do that? Because mine take forever. And anyway, it was super impressive. I've been wanting you on the show since then. So welcome in.
Thank you. I just like to say I know my males. I know my animals.
There you go.
I know what they're going to do and I know what they're not going to do. So.
Yeah.
And then the ones that I don't know what's going to happen, those are the ones I watch. That's usually the newbies. So I had 5 of those this year.
Okay.
All of them did good the first time, and then I have 2 that are acting up now.
Oh, okay. So never before, but now suddenly.
I'm glad you told us who this is, because.
Yeah, because now you got.
Yeah, now, okay. Just making sure. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, no, this the Rob dude is my boyfriend, and then nice. I sent him the link to make him watch it.
Nice.
So I got you guys. I got you guys a watcher.
Everybody should watch it. So I agree. Welcome in, Rob. Quick, he's in the military, right? I think you mentioned that a while
Mm-hmm.
ago. Okay.
Yeah, he is.
Awesome. Thank you for your service, Rob.
Yeah,
Talking about
service, sir.
leopard geckos. So there was something that you had brought up. I guess you posted something and you asked people what they might want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You got a couple
Yeah.
back. One of them, I suppose we could do. It'll probably end up being quick, right? We talked about it a minute ago, but
Yeah,
it's
like I don't see this taking too long unless people have questions.
Well,
yeah,
I was gonna ask some more detailed stuff just to
yeah,
give people things, I guess. So
Yeah.
I was gonna make it longer, but if you guys are trying to go over it quickly, then we can do that too.
Oh no, like let's make this
yeah,
go as long as it needs to so we can get the information.
yeah. So the question exactly was what is the difference between white and yellow and high contrast tangerine?
Yeah.
Okay, and so why don't we have you answer that?
Yeah. So I don't know the context of the question as if they thought it was two, like if it was the same thing but people were calling it two different things, or if they're saying like, okay, well, what is the difference between this line and this dominant trait? Like they just don't know the difference between the two. I'm
Right.
thinking they think that it's the same thing but people are calling them two different things.
Okay,
Anyway,
that makes sense.
in my opinion, not the same thing. One is a line bred trait. Oh, you hear the echo now?
Nope.
No, I do. I hear her phone talking as you're talking.
Oh,
No,
I don't know how to fix that.
It's all good. It's all good. That's why I was texting on the
I
way.
don't hear it. So
Oh, I'm sorry, guys, if there's an echo on that.
No, you're good.
Well,
yeah, so
anyway.
we're good here. Back over. No, we're good on my end.
Okay.
So one of the questions obviously I had, white and yellow is one of my nemesis morphs or genetics, I should say, because I personally can never spot them. I always outsource my clarification to Vinny at Glenview Geckos just because he's a pro at it. So I guess if we could just talk about the difference between them, that might be helpful.
Yeah. It's can be difficult because the most recent hatchlings that I had have been outsourcing my like, hey, I think it's this, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to John, I've talked to Steven, I've talked to a few different people, and we've all agreed that it probably is, but I need to let it shed down a few times just to be sure.
And honestly, that label that I see a lot of the times, probable white and yellow, that is so important in my opinion, and understanding what that means is hugely important. It basically, in my opinion, means I'm just not sure. Keep an eye out for it.
Yeah.
You know, one of the parents was a white and yellow, and you're probably looking at a white and yellow here, but you might not be. So,
but I think that's where people, like you had mentioned earlier, Micah, where some people think it's line bred, that they are not sure if it's a white and yellow, so they get it and they don't think it is. So then when they start breeding, they get that result, and then they're like, "Oh, this isn't dominant. This isn't, it must be line bred." So I think that's where that confusion comes in for that too.
Because you'll hear people saying that it's a line bred trait. You'll hear people saying it's a co-dominant. You'll hear people saying it's a dominant. I believe it's a dominant trait because I've never seen something that's like I can identify as the super form of a white and yellow. Because usually the super form of things is almost patternless or a white looking animal, or like very clearly is definitely that thing.
Yep.
Also, every white and yellow I've ever bred that could have produced this super form, any of those babies, if I ever bred them, never produce more white and yellows than like the 50-50 max that you would get from white and yellow to a non-white and yellow. The other thing I've noticed with it, not like me not agreeing that's line bred, is like I've bred them to super snows before or to total eclipses. And when those babies come out and it's a white and yellow, you get something that looks completely different than a normal super snow or a normal total eclipse. And if it's a line bred trait, no matter how dominant that line bred trait is, it's not going to change what a super snow or a total eclipse looks like.
Yeah.
But the white and yellow does. So to me, that clearly means
point.
it's a gene, like it's a dominant trait.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
And
No,
like
that's
the
a good
other thing
example.
with like having possible white and yellow versus it's a white and yellow is like this guy here, the bottom gecko in this picture, he clearly is a white and yellow. He's
Yep.
like probably the best looking white and yellow, not best looking, there's great looking white and yellows out there, but like you can look at him and he's a white and yellow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
his brother was the same way. His brother, you could look at him, you knew he was white and yellow.
Okay.
Most of the breeders I have, I look at them, I know they're white and yellows. There's other ones that they're just a little less, and you're just
Mhm.
not sure. You just can't be sure.
I got you.
And sometimes you'll breed them. Like I think Seth likes to call them a hidden white and yellow. It doesn't look white and yellow at all, but you breed it and it produces the best white and yellow baby.
Wow.
So it's a low
So it's
expression.
always good if you think it could potentially be one, write it down
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah.
If it's not and you're sure it's not, don't write it down at all. And if it for sure is, it is. And then the
Whereas
girl up here, like
yeah.
she doesn't look like the guy below her
No.
at all. She doesn't have it's not like, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but like
Like a
her
little
pattern,
highlight.
she has he has highlighter. She doesn't have
Yeah,
highlighter.
it's like a highlight that white and yellow does. That's why I love it.
Exactly. The white and yellow gets that highlighter pattern versus it being like the pink or the purple pattern stays in.
Mhm.
I'm like pointing at the screen while I'm
I
talking,
see.
but
Yeah.
We know what you're doing.
yeah.
For everybody who's
So
watching,
she
we
just
have
has
no
pattern,
idea
and her
why
pattern is it's high contrast. She has bright colors, and she
Yeah.
kept her colors and everything like that. So she's a high contrast tangerine trimper. And then the guy underneath her is also a high contrast tangerine trimper, but he also has that white and yellow
White and
gene,
yellow.
which brings
Yeah.
out the highlighter look and the bubbly spots on his head and all that stuff.
The bottom one there too is one that I would be able to identify. So it's kind of like an easy one. It's one of those
Yeah.
Joe Garcia identifiable ones because
I could pull
I
this
really am
baby out
not.
and none of you would be able to tell me what it is.
Bubba's here. I got
I
to show
still
him.
can't tell what it is. And
Yeah,
he's
Bubba,
shed
I
a
got
few
sleeves,
times
dude.
now. He's doing exactly what I think he's gonna do,
Yeah.
color wise and everything too. Like I think he's gonna do what his mom did, and he's gonna brighten up in certain spots, and he's gonna be a deep like yellow orange on his sides, and he's gonna have like a red stripe down his back, which is weird to say, but he's gonna be interesting as he grows.
What is it crossed with?
It's my original Red Hot Project female to a white and yellow rainwater from Chris.
Okay.
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 And
'Cause I was gonna
so,
say, white and yellow sometimes with like eclipse and snow always
mhm.
have trouble. Like, is this white and yellow? Is this not white and yellow? Like,
So it's not eclipse, but it shows some white and yellow and like eclipse looks to it, which is
yeah,
what makes me think it's white and yellow since it's not eclipse. Like it has clear, beautiful, clear eyes.
gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, that's
But
what's
it
important
has
to
the
know.
little spots on its head, kind of,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have much pattern, and the pattern comes up on its back a little bit. So, if anything, I think it's going to end up being like a low contrast white and yellow.
Okay.
So, I'm going to watch it grow out and see what I think it is as it's older. But if it gets listed and I don't end up keeping it, it'll probably be a possible white and yellow, if not a white and yellow, when I know what it is.
Okay, so we explained what white and yellow is, and we kind of went over that. So, what is high contrast? Because back when I first started, I produced a bunch of geckos and I was asking people, hey, what is this? This is the pairing. And somebody told me, oh, that's a high contrast tangerine shrimper. I labeled it as that, then I got, policed on and was like, no, that's a line. That's not that. And I was like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. So I didn't really know, but I did see the same similar look. So I was like, okay, but I don't know what constitute
Mm-hmm.
high contrast. What
So, that's a good
lines
question for
or what is
Steven,
that?
since
Okay.
he created that line. But it is a line bred trait, and it's kind of like the white and yellow highlighter scenario
Thank you for that.
without it being it's like a gecko with pattern that keeps the pattern, and then it's just a better tangerine. It's a tangerine with pattern. It's like instead of it being a super hypo, it keeps the bands, it keeps the stripes, and it has
Okay.
highlighter around the bands and the stripes, but it's not a white and yellow. And they also can have bubbly spots on their heads or like bubbly head stamps, but they're more like it'll be the pattern again and it'll have a little outline of orange around it.
Okay,
usually.
I was about to say, is that what you mean by the bubble? It's not filled in, it has an outline but faded on the inside. I've seen that on a couple of my geckos before.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So I like to call them like the head stamps. It's like a bubbly kind of look head stamp, and you see on the white and yellow, it's not I was just about to say in, but it has the bubbly, like just the orange. There's white and yellow. It's orange, white, and yellow. The other one, the female, it has the head stamps again, but if you look closer to it, she has outline around the head stamps and around like it's the brightness and the pattern that gets kept.
Okay, that is actually something I did not know. Obviously, when you get one,
I point at things all the time. I'm going to be doing that a lot. I'm very handsy.
You're trying to pick my nose. Oh, get out of here.
Well, I don't do that.
If I point left, it points right at the screen, so I'm like pointing the wrong way. But it's weird how it works. But yeah, is that working for you?
Are you able to zoom in, Joe?
That one
on the face.
That one right there.
What's that?
And then that
Are you able to zoom in on the top one?
No.
That's as good.
Do you have any of my singular photos?
I have singular photos right here from you, and we can go here.
I don't know if I have any that are like close enough, but just a better look at just her specifically, I guess.
Yeah.
I can. Yeah, she's right in front of me. I can see if she's not shedding.
Okay.
Vinny throwing up gang signs.
You're not going to be able to like tell because she is a little sheddy.
Okay.
But where's the camera? There's the camera. Maybe you can see it. Maybe probably not.
But the photos do it justice. When you watch back later on the actual YouTube, it'll look pretty clean. But yeah, no, I do see it now.
And going into shed or something, so it's not very clean as it is.
Yeah, with your description, I feel like I definitely understand it a lot better too. So that's
you look like that too. I have my geckos like right next to me. I can pull them out if I need to, but like half of them are going into their like pre-lay shed right now, so they look a little
dusty.
Yeah. And I got babies in shed behind me that are having their first sheds too. So
so how's your season going? I see what you're at, like 6 now.
She's beating me. She's beating me.
So I'm actually at 9 now.
Not a race.
Actually, no. I got 3 more in the incubator. I'm waiting on I'm waiting on a clutch mate to hatch, and as soon as that one hatches, I'll bring them out. Okay, so I'm moving right along. I'm like the females are about to start hatching in the next 2 days. The males are already like every other day, and then the fat tails will start hatching soon. And soon it's going to be like every day. I at least have 1 post.
Yeah. I missed that.
It's going pretty well, and even the laying's been really good too.
Yeah. It's actually something that one of these days I'm probably going to obviously have you and Seth help me out, but I do want to have a pair of AFTs, and I want to, hatch babies out, make sure I can grow them up. I hear it's not as easy as Leo's.
They're more complicated, but care-wise, in my opinion, they're about the same. But fertility-wise, it's a little bit different. Getting them bred, getting them rebred, getting the eggs, and then the babies are different too, because the babies will not start on mealworms. They will only start on the cricket.
Crickets,
You can get them to mealworms, but they usually will only start on cricket.
Okay.
But I've taken care of them the same way every time with no issue.
Gotcha. So from here, since we're talking about genetics and morphs, actually, I know Riys has been dying to ask you about.
Always with the dying to ask.
Right. I have two of them, and
you brought it up pretty quickly. In the
red hots, the red hots. Is that right, Riys?
Yeah. I mean, she brought it up earlier, but yeah, I was just gonna ask you, let you talk about it, get it out there more. But what's your red hot project? What's the goal of it? What's in it? All the good stuff. So if you wanted to talk about that, go ahead.
So it started with a cross of a pretty nice looking rainy red stripe to a pretty dull looking firewater. Okay. And it created a bunch. I only kept one of them, but it created a bunch of babies that like every time they shed, they were just a little bit brighter, a little bit brighter, a little bit brighter. And like their pattern was better and better and better. And of course the pattern went away because they like to all hypo out eventually. But like I saw this female and I was just like, there's got to be something with this female, you know? And then I kind of forgot about it. I kept the one girl. I ended up selling the parents. And it was 2 years later, I decided to get back into rainwaters again. I still had the one girl.
Okay.
Okay.
I still had the one girl. Decided to get back into it. And I got a tangerine typhoon and a few other geckos, including another firewater from Steve Sykes. And I bred the tangerine typhoon was a male, and I bred her to him, and they created again some pretty bright, solid looking animals. I was like, all right,
Okay.
there's something going on with this
I'm on
female,
to
most
something
likely,
here.
because like she's the one who keeps producing, and she's literally never disappointed me.
Okay.
So at that point I felt like I had something and I wanted to go somewhere with it. The goal was just a deep orange, almost reddish looking animal. And like the super hypo, it's basically a firewater, but like brighter, and it doesn't dull out, or I don't want it to dull out.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, I don't want it to yellow out like rainwater likes to do. I want it to be a long-bodied, stout-looking animal, strong, prolific. Like I want it to have all the things, you know, and I want it to have color, and I want it to keep the color. I want it to produce color.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that was the main goal in 2021 when I first kind of started getting back into it. And so I have this one female. She's my F1. She can only create F1s because I don't have anything to breed back to her to make F2s at this point. Well, now she can create F2s because I can breed her to different F1s that I have. But before, she could only get me that far, which is fine. Like, she literally, I put her to this white and yellow male, and like I said, never disappoints. Brightest first baby that hatched, freaking neon again. Like, she always does good for me.
Awesome.
And just as we went down the line, we were just getting better and better. I ended up selling an animal to Shannon at Interstellar Geckos. She had another firewater.
Nice.
I asked to do a collab with her. She bred one of my animals to that firewater, and I got 3 babies back from that. So I have those here, and those are what created the... that guy looks like shit. Or else I would have pulled him out. He's my really, really red one, Mr. Flame, as I like to call him.
Yeah, so glad they can't understand us.
Right.
You're like, that guy looks like shit. You look like shit.
He's like, put your fingers in this tub again. Put your fingers in this
yeah,
tub
I
again.
know. I know all of them look like shit too. I'm just like, none of my animals look good right now.
That's awesome.
They all looked great yesterday. I don't know where you guys were at.
Yeah, right.
Freaking Friday,
anyway,
man.
So that created the ones that created the really nice orange and red looking animals that I have today. And then I have my females are over here. They're waiting for, I'll breed them next year. I bred some of the males that I kept back this year. I haven't hatched any of that stuff out yet. So I have F2s and F3s hatching this year. And I have F1s and F2s already like here.
Okay.
But the goal at the end of the day is going to be to get this, like, I'm just going to pull you out anyway. Oh, never mind. He's going to be a butt. Never mind. He is, like, looking at me, too. He's angry. Or hungry, but I fed him yesterday. So, again, I don't know what's up.
Breeding season.
But the goal is a bright orange to reddish looking animal. At the end of the day, if I can get a bold look into it too with like hot pink striping or some shit down there, that'd be pretty nice as well.
Yeah, I think it makes
and
the
then
movie
also
candy.
long-bodied, prolific, just everything that everybody wants in a rainwater that we've never had in a rainwater.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, the long body is something I can attest to. I have a couple of these here, and they are, I mean, they came to me small, and if you were to see them now, they're too far away, but I mean, they are longer than most of everything else that I have just naturally. So, the male, I had to move him up to a big tub. I would say he's borderline not ready, but I put him in a 27 quart just because of how long he is. I can't fit a hide in a 12 quart grow out long enough for him, and I feel like he needs to be able to get in there. So that's I know him well, and yeah, he definitely long body. So
that's the goal, is to have them all be long, strong looking animals.
yeah,
and keep that color and produce that color and produce more.
okay.
So show me what you're producing when you breed them.
Yeah, right.
Definitely. No, they are. I like mine. I have I have two of them, right? I know I have a
we
girl.
know the answer to this one.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's actually rainwater. It used to be
Yeah.
Trimper, but I definitely am more in my rainwaters now that I have that project. And honestly, I see a future in them. So yeah. And then Trimper albinos, I'm always going to have the Trimper albinos. I'm just going to keep a smaller group of them around.
So were you big on Trempers before?
That was my main thing before.
That was
It was
your main
like
thing
all
before?
of my stuff had Trimper in it or was a Trimper project, minus the like 2 rainwaters I had.
Okay.
How long you been breeding again?
Since 2018.
Okay, so yeah, much longer than us. In your time breeding, have you like popped out any hets that weren't known or disclosed before?
Yes.
Because you said something about Steve
I've
Sykes,
had
and
it happen twice.
rumors about his stuff. So I was just curious if that ever happened to
And
you.
that was one of them. So the Red Hot project before should not have had Murphy's patternless in it.
Oh, okay.
That's
but due to some undisclosed, and honestly, they might not have been undisclosed. It might have just not been known that the het was there, which happens, and I get it, and whatever at this point, because it's there. I'm dealing with it.
Whatever. Yeah, you think it's been helping though? Like maybe intensifying the color some, or helping at all?
No, I think the eclipse helps.
The eclipse
a
is
little
helping
bit.
more?
But I'm also trying to not, like, the typhoons are not a part of the project. An eclipse animal, it can be het eclipse, I don't care. It can be het Murphy's patternless, I don't care. But eclipse and Murphy's patternless are not actually a part of the project.
Gotcha. So you're breeding away from those. So you're trying to breed away from those as you continue.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily trying to breed away from eclipse as much as I'm trying to breed away from the Murphy's patternless.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard because some of the like better animals that I have are het for it. So it's almost like I need to find males that aren't het so I can still use those females.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Which has been fine so far. Like my main female, she is also het for it. But I didn't know the male I bred her to was at the time. And I got Murphy's patternless out of it. And for a while, I thought I was going to go that route because the Tangerine Murphy's patternless looked really cool. But, like, I'm not that into it. It doesn't sell greatly. So I'm just like, I'm not going to stick with the Murphy's patternless stuff. And then the other time it happened was with Blizzard. Weirdly enough, the 2 patternless traits. I don't like Blizzard. So I got out of that as soon as I could.
Okay.
What did they?
Huh?
Oh, yeah. I hate Bell Albinos.
Bell Mafia.
Oh no.
Whoop.
I will never get Bell albinos. If somebody sends me a Bell albino, I will sell the Bell albino.
Really?
Do not give me a Bell albino.
What is?
I'm telling you right now.
What is the hate for?
I did have them. I did have them once.
Okay.
I did not like them.
Why?
Oh, okay. Why?
So tell us why. Let's
talk about why.
You know,
they are a lot more light sensitive than Trimpers and rainwaters are.
You think so?
I didn't like the look of them as much as I like the Trimpers and the rainwaters. I can't really tell you why. I just I have this thing where, like, if I just don't like your face, I just say I don't like your face. I might not have a reason that I don't like you. I just don't like your face. I'm sorry. And Bell albinos are in that category.
Yeah. No, I actually didn't have any for years. Out of nowhere. I saw some that Brett had, I think it was, and then John too. And then I had to get in. I got one from Riys that's really nice. But I will say
that are nice. I just really can't get into them.
For the most part, I have always thought they were kind of ass. And then there's this whole Bell Mafia thing. Good for you guys. No hate, but.
Are you trying to be a part of the group?
No. I have a couple of them now. I don't have plans for them yet, but they're nice to take care of and look at, and we'll see what I do in the future with them. The only real thing that I when it comes to me, I have to like what it looks like, or I don't want to work with it. I mean, no offense to them, but it's like, you're ugly.
Well, that's why I don't really work with Black Knight that much or mini tangerines. I have some stuff that I like, and I work with that. so I can't say I don't work with it because I do now.
Yeah.
But I don't work with it a lot because I don't really like how it looks at the end of the day, or I don't like how it crosses to things.
Okay.
I feel you. I'm like that with a lot of stuff, and then out of nowhere, there's like one gecko and one look that'll put me down a
There's
path.
like the
where it's
one
like,
that you're like, wait,
if I
maybe
get
I
one
want
like
that one.
that, yeah, if I get that
But will
one,
it
maybe.
reproduce?
But then that's what you gotta take it to. You gotta take it to something nice and start a whole new
Yeah.
project. But I'm on that, so I have all three. I have all three albinos. I got different projects for all three. They're all going different ways. So, I like to
Well,
work
that's
with them
good
all.
too. If you
work
have
with
a
them all.
project and everything, and you like how things look, like just do what you like.
Oh, for sure.
Just always be doing what you like, because if you start doing something just because somebody else is doing it, that's when you get in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously
Like
everybody
radar.
should know that if Micah buys an animal from you, include a bell albino stowaway just for fun.
Just for
And-
shits
and-
and giggles.
And
Make sure that you tag us in something so we can know you did it.
and then I'm going to now you're just making it easy for me not to buy any animals this year.
No, she's like, let me book a table right
like,
now. It's going right on the table.
Now Steven's gonna come by when I'm like in Pomona. He's gonna come by and he's just gonna give me a bell. I'm gonna be like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah,
Like,
right. No,
I told
nobody
you what would
listens to me.
happen.
You don't have to worry about it. Nobody's going to do it. So we'll see. Who knows? I could be lying. Let's see. We had a couple of extra.
Man, it's all good. Vinny's a hater, dude. I'm gonna send him.
We had a couple of extra things we wanted to ask you real quick, and then obviously I'd like to go into brumation.
You're about to get a bell bomb, dude. Just a bell bomb.
What is it? Brumation.
Just a box of bells. A glitter box of bell albinos.
Sorry, Joe. Sorry. Joe keeps trying to segue. We're like back on.
I know. I'm reading the comments and he's talking, and I'm like, shoot, what do I respond to?
Yep.
Not to him. The comments. You were right the first time.
Okay. I'm glad.
All right, Joe. Sorry. Go ahead.
Joe, come back.
Yeah, right. So, I want to go into brumation for the last half hour, just because I know that you're kind of the person to talk to about it. But before I do that, Riys had a couple of questions here. I'm going to ask one of them just so we get the answer down. Top 3 favorite things about the hobby.
Your top 3.
Your top 3.
My top 3.
Yeah. What is your top 3 things about the hobby that just gets you excited? Your favorite things to talk about, or you experience, just anything in the hobby. What is your top 3 things that you like?
Okay. Oh shoot, I have to think. So for sure the animals and my projects.
Okay.
And like talking about how the projects work and talking about what goes into the projects, talking about genetics, all of that stuff. I love to talk about that stuff. If anybody will let me talk about that, I will talk about it for a while, to the point where somebody has to tell me to shut up. So animals and talking about the genetics and everything to do with that. Okay, honestly, like all 3 things can just go into that. It's the animals, it's the genetics, it's the eggs, how the eggs work, incubation, talking about the babies, showing people pictures of my babies when they hatch and all that.
I said 3,
all
Micah.
that stuff.
Does your boyfriend, because if I'm talking about it, my wife will listen. I think she's hoping that it'll end soon. But you know how when you're talking and they're engaging and asking a question or two, you just keep going, and then she'll be like, well, I'm going to go do something that's not this. And I swear I had just asked a question, but she just didn't want to, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't engage.
He does the same
he
thing.
knows better than to engage, because he doesn't know what I'm talking about ever.
Yeah.
So if I start talking and like mention anything, any sort of cool name, like we'll talk about the Raptor or the radar and stuff like that, he'll start going off talking about jets. And I'm just like,
talking about radars.
We're talking about geckos, dude. Why are you talking about jets? And then he, every now and then, will just start making up names, and then it almost will get to the point where it annoys me a little bit. I'm just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, why?
Seriously.
There was one time he came up with a name for like a genetic combo name that actually sounded correct somehow, and I was like, how did you get that right? Now I want you to tell me what genetics that actually has in it.
He's like, I'm not happy that I got it right either.
No, but no, he doesn't really engage unless I'm like in a mood that day and I need to talk about something, and then I basically make him engage in the conversation. Yeah, F22s.
Ooh, Vinny, that was
Yeah.
Vinny's got a real truth down here.
What's that?
He says my girl has to take an edible to tolerate the gecko talk.
Well, neither of us can take edibles, Vinny.
You're not supposed to talk about geckos at that time, Vinny. Like, I don't know if you know that, but now you do.
You're talking
So,
at
Because
that
then she's not
time?
going to remember
Seriously.
anything, man. Like, what's
yeah.
up?
Talk
Talk
about
about
buttered
Black Knights.
sausage. What
No,
about buttered
Rob.
sausage?
So, all right. So actually, you kind of also answered the last question. So let's go into
Oh, wait, what was the last
brumation.
question, though?
Oh, just, what do you enjoy most about working with them as opposed to the hobby in general? But you kind of answered that.
Yeah. So
Oh,
pretty
okay.
much everything. Yeah, it was all wrapped in one generic questions, but
Yeah.
just something we try to get personal touch on. Some people like you
No,
could have a
it's
different
literally
favorite
the
than
animals
somebody
and
else.
everything about the animals
Yeah.
for me.
So how long, brumation, how long have you been doing this? Like, how long have you been doing
Since I
brumation?
started.
Really?
So
Okay.
the first house I was in when I first started, the house kind of did it for me because we didn't have a heater
Okay.
and we didn't have a good AC. So our house literally, like, I basically burmated at the same time as the gecko. So I had the thermostat on and it would be as like high as I could get it. And I basically, so that way it wouldn't be like burning up trying to keep up with temperature, would turn it down to, he would turn it down, I would turn it down to 75 or something. So that way it would at least like not be burning the animals up or whatever.
Okay.
And I would just let it go down until it was like it stayed at like about 70, 75. And then when the house heated up enough that I could turn it back up, I would turn it back up, and it basically turned into a brumation cycle, and it just kind of worked out that way. Like my season always started around the same time. I think I just got so used to it that that's just how I did it, and it worked out.
Okay.
So that's how I started it. And then now it's turned into I have a time I go into it.
You fine tuned
I
it.
slowly cool them down. I leave them for 2 months. I come back. I slowly bring them back up, and then I know exactly when I'm going to start breeding. Like I time it so I know exactly when breeding will start.
In those 2 months, are you not feeding at all?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
If
I've
I
seen some
have a
people.
female that will not go into brumation, like she's clearly just skinny, like she's eating all of her extra nutrients that she's
Yeah, her
saved up, like
reserves.
she's not burmating properly, I will separate her and I will feed her so she stays like she doesn't, thin out. But that doesn't usually happen. I've had it happen with a fat tail this year, so I did separate her, got her fattened back up, and then everything seemed fine, so I put her back into the breeder's rack when they all got heated back up, and she's done fine this year. But that's only happened like once, and it's a fat tail. The Leos don't usually do that.
Yeah.
I'd be extremely interested in seeing this schedule and kind of like, I don't know, seeing if I have the bandwidth to even follow it. That sounds 2 months off sounds
You
amazing. So
kind of make your own schedule so that way you know when your season's going to end, basically. And when
no,
you'll have, like, in my opinion, it's an off time where, like, yeah, I'm still checking in on them every few days, every day, whatever. I have to check on all the babies anyway because they're still here.
Yeah.
But
you only
and I do
grooming
water
the
them still, so
adults.
they still get watered as much as I used to when I was feeding them. I'm just not feeding them anymore.
okay.
But it almost gives you a little bit of a break because you're not having to spend as much time in the room. So that's when I take my time to, like, I'll leave my mom to take care of the animals for me, and I take vacation.
Nice.
Like, I
Okay.
can take a week or 2 off at a time and go on vacation during that time, and I'm happy with it. I have somebody watching them, but they're fine. They don't need food. They just need to be watered. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say is a safe age for Leos, to start doing this? Safe weight, safe age, which one applies?
I don't worry about the weight. Like, I believe it's been talked to the last few shows that you've done now. The weight, unless the animal just looks like it's a baby size, like it looks like a sub-adult, you know,
Yeah.
like you look at it and you're like, I should not breed this animal. I
Yeah.
wouldn't do it. But
Okay.
I don't really look at weight as long as the animal looks healthy. What I do is I have a rack behind me on this side over here. It has all my yearlings on it, basically. I don't burmate them until they're going into their second year. So I'll burmate all of these females this year in October. I'll get these racks cleaned up and I'll put all the breeders on these racks, and I'll put everybody that is over a year old on them, and I will burmate them. But everybody under a year old will stay on the rack behind me over here until these racks are back heated up.
Okay.
I don't know if that necessarily matters if you wait a year, but pretty much everything I've looked at says don't do it to a yearling or like something that's a year old or under a year old.
Yeah.
So I always do it at the when they get to their second year.
I was curious about that because in the wild they don't get a choice whether they're a year old or not.
Another thing. I'm like,
they're there, so they got to deal with it or they don't. You know, they don't get that nice cushion. This year you get extra
looking at
one.
it from just doing it realistically,
Yeah.
as long as the animal looks healthy and ready, go for it. If you're doing it from the prospect of you're not going to breed the animal until it's 2 years old anyway, then I say don't do it unless you're breeding the animal. I don't do it to any of the animals that I'm not breeding that year. I keep them up here in this rack. Okay. All the animals that are being bred, I have 2 racks over here that are my breeder racks. They all go into that, and they get burmated. But I don't breed anything. I'll breed the males, but I don't breed any of the females until they go into their second ovulation. Again, that's not realistic because in the wild they would get bred anyway. Yeah. But here, they wait till they're 2 years old. Unless they decide to lay eggs by themselves and they start getting super skinny, then I will breed them to get them to eat, basically. Because, yeah, like I've talked to John about this too, and he's even said, like, as long as the animal looks healthy, I breed it. And I'm like, okay, well,
simple as that.
Then that is what it is.
Yeah. I tried that the beginning of this season. I didn't do 2 months. I did a couple weeks. It still kind of worked out because naturally it was already cold in here anyway. But yeah, it worked out because pretty much my season started January 2nd, like start of the year. A lot of females took. So I think I'm going to start trying to fine tune my own method and moving forward. Cause,
that's another thing I would suggest is fine tune your own method. Cause like 4 weeks might work better for you than 8 weeks. Yeah. Cooling them down faster might work better than cooling them down slower, or heating them up faster might work better than heating them up slower. I'm going to actually start heating mine up faster because they almost always start ovulating when I'm at like the 2 week mark of bringing them out of brumation. And I'm like, okay, so I need to just basically 1 degree a day until you're out and then start breeding them. Because as soon as they're ovulating, you can breed them. You don't have to wait till they've started eating or anything like that.
Yeah. So in your 8 weeks, what do you do? So the first 4 weeks, you're lowering it, and then when that 4-week period,
so actually,
you go back
that's
up,
4 weeks before the 8 weeks.
Okay. So my next question.
Start in sorry, what?
No, my bad. I was gonna say, what is your temperature, and then what's the drop before you raise it back up? You said 1 degree a day, so we know you do that. But what is the start temp, and then what do you go down to?
Let me explain how I do my whole thing.
There you go.
So in October, like October 1st, I don't know why I do this, but it's always like the 1st or the first Monday. Anyway, October 1st, I start cooling it down. I actually do a few degrees on like Monday, and then I do a few degrees later in the week. And I do that for 4 weeks until I get them down to about 70 degrees. 70, and I'll put my thermostat on in here in the shed, in the whole shed. I'll put it down to 70 as well. I'll get them down to 70. As soon as I get them there, I start the clock for 2 months, for 8 weeks, basically. Okay. And I leave them there for 8 weeks. I check on them, make sure they're okay. I give them water. That's about it. Mm-hmm. At the end of the 8 weeks, what I used to do is I did basically the same cooling method, but heating them up. I would heat them a few degrees a day, a few degrees every other day or every few days. Mm-hmm. Okay. Until they were back to 90 to 93 degrees. That's where I aim for. The whole rack ranges differently, and I arrange the males and the females so that way the females are warmer than the males are, for incubating those eggs a little bit better.
Gotcha.
But what I'm gonna do, because my females tend to be a little bit ahead of me for some reason, is I'm gonna start just doing like a degree a day when I'm raising it back up. And it should take me about 2 weeks. And by the time I get to that 2-week mark, the female should be maybe a week away, hopefully, at that point from ovulating. And then I'll start breeding. So the goal would be by November, they're in brumation. They go through brumation until January 1st, or about the first week in January. And then by the end of January to mid-January, they're out. And then hopefully by the end of January to the beginning of February, I'm breeding.
Okay, solid plan.
So when they come out of breeding, because that's actually pretty precise. When they come out of brumation, are they just ready to breed? These guys are good to go. It seems like that's what they want.
Once all you get them to that temperature, they're good.
Wow!
Like every this year, I had no issues. As soon as those females, like I could see the follicles inside of them. They were big. They were that creamy color.
Yeah.
As soon as they were ready, I put the males with them. I don't think I had any females fighting me this year.
That is insane. That's actually probably one of the best things I've heard on this podcast so far, because obviously we all deal with the fighting females that clearly look like they're ovulating, and you think,
they look perfectly ready. They look like they're bloated because there's so much in there, but they will not let the male touch them.
Yeah.
Or the male touches them and they attack him.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know why some of them do that. And I've had like the new females, the first time breeders do that a little bit.
Yeah.
But usually as soon as that male nips them in one way or another, they calm down. There's like, shh, what's going on? Okay, like I'm just gonna sit here.
See, those girls, I just say they like to play hard to get, because once
my fat tails do that a little bit more, but they're a little bit more gentle about it.
But if he keeps going, then he'll get the mission done. But you have some that first warning, he's like, "Oh, I'm done, no consent." I'm like, "No, buddy, keep pushing, just try again."
Well, that's one of the reasons. I do have some shyer males that like the female backs off like once, and they're like, "Okay." Nope.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. I'm out. I'm like, no.
Dude, and then I have most of my breeders are that like they'll try and then they'll back off for a few minutes and then they'll try again, and usually the second time it's fine.
Right. Yeah.
And I'll watch for that. Like the other thing I do that I don't see a lot of people doing, and like it's not a requirement. None of this is a requirement, obviously, because everybody's already been doing it their own way and it's been working in one way or another, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But another thing I do that I don't see a lot of people do is I'll pair them. I'll look for that first lock. I'll watch it.
Sorry, the chat's talking about not playing the right music for the locking. So
yeah.
Oh.
That's why
you don't play any music because they like it silent and they want you staring directly into their eyes.
Yeah, that's.
I have some that do that. They will stop, look at me, and then come to me. I'm like, no, bro, stop looking.
Have you had the ones yawn when it happens?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
It's hilarious.
You're like looking at him like, don't.
I've had one sigh at the end.
Yeah.
Like,
he needed a cigarette. He needed a cigarette at the
laughing. And it is hilarious. But I've had them sigh. I've had them yawn.
Yeah. Have you ever had them make noise?
I've had them make noise. Fucking twitch, and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, I've had.
Anyway, so watch it happen, but then I leave them overnight for like 2 nights. I'll check on them, make sure the female's not looking beat up, make sure the male's not looking beat up. Yeah, I know I'm a freak, Heidi. I get it.
We're all freaks.
You gotta know it happened, though. You have to watch at least once.
Yeah. No, I do. I remember my brother Tim. He used to walk in the room and just be like, "What are you up to, man? You watching geckos fuck or what?" And I'm like, "Bro." I'm making sure the females. When Rob
calls me, sometimes I'm in here doing that. I'm like, I'm just watching geckos fuck, man.
Yeah, keeping everybody safe. I feel like
actually what I'm doing is making sure the females are safe. But whatever you want to say,
bodyguard of a pimp or something like.
The females haven't been a problem for me. My males are all really nice. My females are the assholes.
Yeah, same. I have the
I
similar.
had a female grab one of my males by the neck the other day and just sit there and shake her head back and forth.
So that's crazy.
Like, I knew I was like, all right, so she's not ready, but I have to wait till she lets go of him so I can take him out. He was fine, but
that's crazy.
yeah, like it does happen.
I sent the gecko to a friend of mine, and he tried to breed, and it broke her neck immediately. Like launched at her neck and killed her in seconds. I was like, oof. Bro, what?
See, haven't had that happen.
But they already locked once before, so it was insane. It wasn't like their first time meeting either. So it was I don't know what happened with that, but yeah, that's why we have to watch things, guys. It's not for pervertedness, for safety.
Yeah, I always watch the first one, and then I'll leave them for a night or two. Unless the male, like I know, is going to overbreed the female, then I'll let him be while I'm in the room, and then I take him out before I leave. Because I do have some males that like they will breed her once, and then 2 seconds later try to do it again. And I'm like, okay, I just need you to do it once right now, man. And then after the initial breeding, if I get good eggs, okay, we're good. I'll wait till the second eggs come out, and they'll probably still be good. And then I'll put the male in with her again the next day, just to ensure the rest of the season.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I hear people like Joe,
I don't leave him overnight that time. I just watch for the lock, and then I take him out.
Okay.
That's crazy. Yeah, because Joe over here, he locks once and he has a great season. I don't understand how people do that. I have to lock three or four times just to make sure.
I could leave him alone all season. I just choose not to. I kind of think it's mean to the males that I only give one female to. Because I'm like, oh, you only got to do it once. I know how guys are. You would like it more than once.
That was never going to be a thought in my head, and now it's the only thing. I'm gonna go over there and apologize to like.
you should apologize big time.
We're gonna just have you locked for no reason.
You have like one female for.
That's funny you said that because Heidi said we should be thanking our ladies.
I'm sorry.
Every time we collect eggs, she thinks her geckos. So yeah. I think we got to start doing that too. Like, thank you. You know.
Yeah,
no, like seriously, I look at them. I'm like, oh, they're both good. Good job, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. And then when they get the babies, I do the same thing. I'm like, oh my god, they're so beautiful.
Good job.
The brumation break is needed after all that gecko quality time, all that gecko porn, as you should call it. You just need a minute.
You wanted to talk about brumation and breeding. I'm just telling you what I do, man.
Yeah. No, I'm actually going to try that next year. I think that's a hell of an idea, especially the 2 months off thing. I have this like idea that I want to do.
It's really nice for yourself, honestly.
Yeah. Christmas in Hawaii instead of Christmas wasting your money every year. You know, I've had this idea, and now I have this like you
have a way you can do it now.
Yeah, no, I'm like
that's literally what I've done the last few years because I have this 2-month break. Yeah. I've taken like a week off in Thanksgiving to go see my boyfriend in Colorado. And then the next month for Christmas, he'll usually come out and I'll still be here. So I'll check on him and everything. I'll take care of the babies and all that.
Okay.
But we'll go away for like a week or a few days and then we'll come back and then we'll go away again for a few days. And I don't have to worry about all this. If I need to, I can just ask my mom to check on everything.
No, that's a good peace of mind. That's a good peace of mind to have because a lot of people, you know, I'm like that. I'm like, I don't know who to trust to come watch. So
I mean, like year round might be great, but I'm like, why would I want to do this year round when I'm going to have babies left over? Like I have plenty left over from last year to sell until these guys are ready. Like I'm good. I don't need to breed year round to do that, you know?
Yeah, no, that's actually a huge peace of mind. Just knowing that I'm going to try it. Like I'm pretty excited about it right now.
Yeah. You know, if you have any questions, just text me. Let me know. Both
definitely
of you.
Going to do that as well. I know
and
Brett.
Everybody in the chat. Just let me know if you guys have any questions about it. I've literally done it since I've started.
Vinny likes cucking his geckos, apparently.
Oh, God.
Hey.
Brett.
We all do.
I have an animal that got out, and it's been out for a couple of months. It came in from Bayside, and then my kid came downstairs to look at it because it was new, and she left the tub open. I can hear it. It's the first time I can literally hear something moving
right now.
Around. Yeah, there's nothing in this room, and I can hear something moving around. So
go find it, dude.
Yeah, no, I have a feeling I'm going to run into it tonight. He was just talking about it on the phone recently, so that's so funny. I hear
Have you
some.
ever put a heat pad on the floor or anything to try to get it?
If anybody has any tips, text me. Like, how do you catch this thing? Because
I just told you.
it's it's kind of, if I go towards it after that, it's gonna jump off the heat pad and run with all that heat energy. So
Nah. Just
you don't
get
think
ready
so?
with a little net or bucket or something, get some food there.
Yeah.
But I did
Turn the
that.
light
Tank
off
dart.
and then like just
Yeah.
stand in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
For a year.
Like a creep.
Have some night vision goggles on and just stare at the heat map.
Just sit there. Where
Here's a
are you?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Here's a question for you. Would you advertise against moving females' location in the rack during the breeding season?
Advise.
What do you mean by that? Like from top
No.
to bottom, from different tub size? I don't know what he means by that.
I think he just means moving them like up or down or next to each other. Moving the tubs around.
I keep
Maybe
the
even
females.
moving the females to a different tub. I don't know, but no, I don't think that really makes a difference.
Yeah, I keep mine all on the same rack.
If you have a female that's more high stress, maybe.
Yeah. I do keep my males
but
on
if your
one
females
end.
are relatively calm, I don't think it matters.
Well, I don't have mine mixed in on the racks. I have my males over here segregated, just because I
have all my males on the top and on the bottom, and then all my females are in the middle. And I don't know. I have it so I don't have to move everything around.
Yeah.
Okay. So you keep them all in the same area.
Yeah. I try to let them not.
Oh, okay. So I don't
bottom.
move everybody around. I have my males at the top because that's the cooler part of the rack. And I keep my females in the warmer area of the rack just because I want them to have more heat to incubate those eggs inside of their stomachs when they're producing.
I feel you.
Gotcha.
That's the only reason. I don't want the males to have too much heat because I don't want the heat to kill, the sperm.
Yeah, like this rack right here is all males all the way down. And then everything else this way is all females.
Yeah, exactly. But the same thing. Both of my racks. This one next to me is all my fat tails, and the other one over here is all my Leos. All my males are at the top, and some of them are at the bottom. Same thing over here, males at the top, males at the bottom, and then all my females are in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's smart, actually. You mentioned heat tape, and earlier when we first started up, you said something about heat tape that I thought was interesting. I do know the answer to it, but I'm going to bring it up just so we kind of talk about it. Heat tape, does it or does it not heat up too much when it's cold outside or in the room? Like, if you have it set for, 90, 91 degrees, but it's 50 degrees in the room, that's an issue, right? Like,
yeah.
So
like whatever you have your thermostat set at.
Yep.
So I think both of I have 2 probes on this one thermostat here. And wherever the probe is at, it's going to test the temperature and keep the heat either going up or going down. So if it's 50 degrees in the room and the rack's having to compensate with that, but you have it set at 90, say at 90, it can only get it to 70 degrees because it's 50 in the whole room. Then your rack is going to be continually heating until it can get that probe to say 90, which might mean your temperature is basically killing your animals at that point. So you want your room, you either lower the temp on your thermostat. You can lower the temp on your thermostat as low as you need to, just because the thermostat, just because the thermostat says 90 doesn't mean it's going to be 90. It could still be in mine, I have mine set at 94 for it to actually be 90 on some of these racks.
Yeah, to compensate for the difference.
And then on these racks behind me, I actually have it set at 80. I have it set at 87 for it to be 90.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
What you do is just keep lowering your thermostat or heightening, whatever the word is. Make it higher or lower, depending on where your temperature's at.
I actually will keep
get your temperature to match your room.
They have these little floor heaters. They're this big, and you could put it in the room, and if you turn it on, it literally will take the entire room and make it 75 degrees so that the compensation's not as much. And to me, it's easier to dial that in than it is 40-degree variance. But yeah,
Well,
no,
I
that's
have
you
a
could get some
heater.
really
I have an HVAC unit in here
nice.
that does the same thing. It heats and it cools, and I usually just set it at auto and let it heat and cool and
Yeah,
keep the room around 75.
I gotcha.
So the temperature isn't that bad. It isn't hard to deal with.
I happen to not have one in this room. I have one for the whole house, and this room gets less. I also have a
Gets none of
constant.
it.
Yeah, I have a constant vent that's always pulling odor from the room and throwing it right out the side of the house through a tube, like a bathroom fan, but more industrial size. So that's a thing. So one of the things I do just to make that variance less, because that 40-degree difference can make the animals just come out sick, and it's weird, like the way that they'll look, and then you're like, that's too much. Oh man, like it's an instant, like whatever.
Yeah.
But
so you just keep messing with it until you get it right.
Yeah.
One of those indicators, though, have you noticed, is like the dullness of the color, like just too cold. That's one of those indicators. The temperature is not right for your gecko. If all of a sudden they're just washed out and ugly looking and they're not shedding, we probably should check the temperature a little bit.
For sure. That's all very accurate.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, what I find funny with some of my animals is as they lay, like they might be doled out as like an adult. They're kind of doled down or whatever. And they've been bred a few years, whatever. They faded a little bit. But like every time they lay a clutch of eggs, they get brighter. Yeah. So like my original red hot female, who is pretty dang yellow, looks really orange right now. It looks like I don't know what kind of orange, but she's orange right now. She's not yellow. She's very bright.
Okay.
No, I don't mean like a small. I mean like a drastic change too. Like, cause when they're laying eggs and stuff, there is a little fluctuation.
Like when you take animals to shows and they get really cold and they kind of just look sluggish. They're fine. They'll be okay for the 2 days, but they kind of fade and they just look a little drab. Yeah, I don't have that issue much anymore. And when you do, if you ever do the brumation, you might see it a little bit, because obviously they're basically just supposed to sleep. All of their energy should be going to sleeping, weirdly enough.
Okay.
But they'll look a little drab, they'll cool down, and then when you heat them back up, they'll come back up out of it.
Yeah, expos, that's an easy fix. You just blow your hot breath on them real quick.
Or if you want to, put some heat tape on your
I guess that works too.
Display cases.
Yeah. No, I actually just saw some new ones made like that with some heat tape on them, and they look pretty cool. So the only thing is I don't want to pay for electricity at these shows. Yeah. They'd be charging me too much.
At one of my shows, I don't have to pay for it. We just have to tell them that we want it. But at the super shows, we have to pay for it. I'm like, I don't care. I need it. So I'm going to pay for it, even though it's pretty much everywhere. And we've actually once hooked up to electricity without paying for it. So, well, it was right behind our booth, and he hooked us up against a wall. So, of course, I'm going to use it. Yeah. But we do have, I have heat cable or whatever. I need to just hook it up to my display cases, and I can start warming them up. But
I actually vended with Seth a couple weeks back here in Atlanta, and he had that. He was running this little wire through, and I was like, "Yo, what's that?" And he's like, "Oh, this heat cable." And I was like, "Oh, that is genius, dude." And it was just flexible little thing, just wired it through all the display cases, and
and then I got a little like cheap thermostat to connect to that, and just goes right behind the display cases, and there you go.
Okay. All right, so it looks like we're up on our hour here. Joe, don't be laughing at me, dude.
I'm not laughing at this right here. Sorry.
But I was gonna ask our famous question that we ask everybody. If you watched, it's coming. What is your Mount Rushmore?
My Mount Rushmore.
What is your Mount Rushmore?
Rushmore,
please.
Yeah. See.
I
went to a whole different.
I shouldn't have to think about this. I've thought about it already. That's the thing. I literally was talking to somebody. I was like, "Oh, it's these people."
Yeah.
Okay. Nick from Let Go My Gecko for my African fat-tailed geckos.
Okay. I met him. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love him. Chris for my leopard geckos.
Chris
Probably
Suburban?
almost gonna be John soon.
What's the balloons thing? What happened?
Dude, is
I don't
Pennywise
know. I
at your
didn't do
house?
that.
Yeah, you just threw balloons.
Balloons.
That's funny.
Oh,
What just happened?
Oh,
okay. So Nick, Chris, a little bit of John too.
A little bit of John, just half
I'm
his
starting
face.
to talk to John more. And
He's all
then
right. He's all right.
Steven.
SC?
Yeah, SC, Steven. I talked to him a lot. He's become a really good friend of mine.
That's
and
awesome.
then Chris and John have been like just the two people that I followed from the beginning. And Nick for, again, the African fat-tail geckos. Pretty much since I got into that, he's been a big help with those.
Yeah, I met him at the Daytona show. Real cool dude.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I flew out, met him. He is very cool. He's one of my, I enjoyed meeting him.
So, no, I love his stuff. I think he has the best tangerines when it comes to the fat tails. The leopard geckos. He has really good leopard gecko tangerines
too. I mean, that's all I saw at the table was tangerines, but they were all really nice.
It's basically all tangerines, I know, but like when it comes to the fat tail geckos, it's hard to find a good tangerine in those.
Yeah.
And he just always had really good ones. He's always had the best, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I've got a couple of OGs. They're good. They work. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do good stuff. One of these days, somebody will ask me my Rushmore, but we are.
So are you asking me to ask you?
Oh my! No, don't fall for it, dude. Don't fall for the debate, dude.
Yeah.
Don't.
We're at the hour. So, Micah, I wanted to say thanks for agreeing to come on and hanging out with us. This one was a lot of fun. It was funny.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. This is awesome.
Good. Yeah, I'd like to have you back soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I'd love to do it again with you guys.
Hell yeah.
For everybody who watched today, thank you so much for joining us and for representing, obviously MS Farms Exotics. I'm sure that you liked the video. Obviously, Micah, gave a lot of really great information. I know that I'm grateful that it'll forever be recorded here on our podcast. This has been one of the more educational episodes, in my opinion. And yeah, I'm probably going to get off here and go watch it. So
I'm going to go get dinner.
There you go.
I'm going to go run because I need to do that today.
10-4. Well, thank you, everybody, and good night.
All right. Good night, guys.